Hey, are you a person who enjoys a good mud bath? Do you have an unhealthy connection to almighty Gaia?
Hi, I'm Wendy, and today I'm gonna eat dirt.
Well, congratulations, you might be a land druid. But what is a land druid? Well, start getting those tie-dye colors ready, find yourself a good tree to snug with, and see if you can do better than some cringe YouTube celebrities, because Druids are a fascinating and unique class when it comes to the magicians of our little blue ball. Take wizards for example. They seem to draw their magical power from an understanding of the weave, an ever-present tapestry that holds reality together. Or clerics. Their magic stems from faith in celestial gods that help guide living creatures in the battle of good and evil, or so they say. And then there's the druids, kind of the oddball of the group. Those who specialize in primal magics. Magics that not only seem to be older than both the gods and the weave, but a resource many druids are simply content with never fully understanding. It's a magic that is temperamental, circumstantial, and insanely powerful, something that takes a careful and flexible person to harness and control. And while it may seem complicated to those unfamiliar with the druidic perspective, you understand that the real strength of your spellcasting is respecting where we all come from. The land, at least for druids, is both a point of pride and a powerful resource. It also has many forms, from dry, arid deserts to vast, seemingly endless ice plains to lush and vibrant rainforest. For druids in the circle of the land, maintaining these places is a sacred duty passed down for generations, as protecting the natural environment not only ensures the survival of the plants and wildlife that call those places home, but also invigorates and sustains the primal magic found there. Now, if that sounds like some tree-hugging hippie bullshit, you're right. Druids are the original hippies, but also hippies that can summon lightning out of their eyeballs, so maybe watch your mouth. But you want to learn the ways of the land druid and become a literal rock star. Well, to do that, you better start out as a plain old druid. Druids get all the best stuff when it comes to primal magic, grabbing spellcasting right off the bat. And since we can prepare our spells at the start of each day, we're always ready when we need to defend our dirt. We also learn Druidic, the druid's secret language, letting you speak to other druids without the normies figuring it out, just in case you want to talk shit about rangers using pieces of tree bark. But that means second level is here and druids get Wild Shape, the incredible ability to transform into any animal you can imagine, as long as they meet certain requirements, of course, gaining more animals with more abilities as you level up. And while Wild Shape is great, it's going to be more of a backup for us, but comes in very handy when comboing a wild-shaped critter on top of a concentration spell. But druids are also cool in that, being the premier primal spellcasters, we can jump straight into our druid circle a whole level early. As a circle of the land druid, we're kind of like the wizard of druids, if that makes sense. So we'll start right away with a bonus cantrip. All druid cantrips are pretty good, but this lets you pick up something like guidance or thorn whip for all around utility, or something like druid craft or create bonfire for a little more flavorful stuff. Speaking of wizard druids, we also get natural recovery, which works a lot like arcane recovery, allowing you to regain spells during a short rest if you concentrate your primal magic energy. But it's already level 3, and I know this is what you've all been waiting for. You see, as a part of your land druid circle, you also get infused with the magics of whatever biome your druid is most connected to. And since there are many biomes on our little blue planet, there are also many different kinds of land druids. You may be an Arctic, coastal, desert, forest, grassland, mountain, swamp, or underdark land druid with wildly different spells to go along with it. Well, mostly. While I love the variety of druids that come with the circle of the land, I'm not totally in love with the spells you get from them. So tell you what, let's hold off on talking about druid spells for a little bit until I cover all of your abilities, and then we can really crack into what makes those spell lists tick or not tick for me. Cool? Cool.
So cool.
So quickly, let's jump up to level 6 with Land Stride, pretty much exactly the same as the Ranger ability with the same name, allowing you to move through non-magical terrain without issue, and giving you advantage on saves against spells like Entangle that might limit your movement. Bouncing up to level 10, we get Nature's Ward, a nice little gift from the trees we protect, giving us a natural immunity to being charmed and frightened by elementals or fae, as well as all poisons and disease. Damn. Well, that's cool. Kinda like a paladin that went to Woodstock. Wait, DM question real quick. Would you allow plant growth for a player to make some Sticky icky? Just think about that for a minute. Because it's already level 14 where we'll become Nature's Sanctuary. Turns out our devotion to the world around us has also allowed other inhabitants to sense our primal magic. Now anytime we encounter a plant or beast that may be hostile to us, they must first make a wisdom saving throw or be forced to choose another target. Kinda like a buffed version of the Sanctuary spell. And this is a really cool way to not be damaged like things like wolves, large bears, or treants. Though my only complaint is that this is level 14 and we're probably not going to be facing a lot of those types of creatures. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe your DM is really into dinosaurs and wants to throw a T-Rex at you. But that also means it's time to hop back over to our regular Druid stuff. Great features like Timeless Body at level 18, so we basically no longer age. Beast Spell is also at level 18, so we can cast 9th level spells as a tiny rat to really with mean old tabby cats. And we'll become an Archdruid at level 20, letting us cast Wild Shape an unlimited number of times a day and ignore verbal and somatic components for Druid spells. But speaking of spells, we gotta talk about the Druid spell list for land Druids. Like I said, you're kind of the Druid's wizard, not only getting the most spells to work with, but a cool collection of spells depending on your biome. So, why do I have a beef with this spell list, you may be asking? Honestly, the only thing wrong with the Land Druid spells is that they're kind of outdated, and many of the lists have repeated spells on them for seemingly no reason. And while I can attribute most of this to the PHB effect, I think more diversity in what spells you get would make each Land Druid feel even more unique. So, let's just do that. Starting with the Arctic Circle. The PHB gives us Hold Person and Spike Growth at level 3, Sleet Storm and Slow at level 5, Freedom of Movement and Ice Storm at level 7, and Cone of Cold and Commune with Nature at level 9. Not terrible, but I do think we can do better. Luckily for us, more spells have come out in other books, so while I like Spike Growth flavored as Icy Spikes rather than Thorns, let's do either Snillic's Snowball Swarm or Rhyme's Binding Ice instead, just for a more flavorful icy experience. Sleet Storm and Slow can stay, as well as Freedom of Movement and Ice Storm, which makes sense for a snowy terrain, and of course Cone of Cold is an absolute must, but instead of Commune with Nature, a neat spell, but already on the Druid list, why don't we replace it with Hold Monster instead, to freeze our foes with a giant block of ice? Next up, the Coastal Circle is pretty solid, with Mirror Image and Misty Step, then Water Breathing and Water Walk come after that, followed by Control Water and Freedom of Movement again, and then finally Conjure Elemental and Scrying. And while I like this okay, having repeats is gonna drive me nuts, so let's just get rid of Freedom of Movement completely and instead take Watery Sphere, a cool defensive spell, and knock off Scrying for Summon Draconic Spirit. Unfortunately for Scrying, it's not only already on the Druid list for us to take anyway, but Summon Draconic Spirit lets us get an awesome Sea Serpent into the mix, which yes, is a type of dragon, kind of letting us dive more into our watery heritage. Anyway, and this combo may be even better than the actual Sea Druid, cause that guy sucks. Anyway, next is the Desert Circle, also a really solid list here. We got Blur and Silence, and then Create Food and Water, as well as Protection from Energy, that makes a lot of sense. Next is Blight and Hallucinatory Terrain, okay, Cook, King, Cook, and then Insect Plague and Wall of Stone. Huh, okay, I can see it, desert insects are definitely a thing, and turning sand into walls is cool, but again, these are both already Druid spells that we can pick up anyway. So instead, let's replace those with Control Winds, very desert-like in flavor, and also a pretty powerful crowd control spell for combat encounters, though we still don't have anything to represent the heat of the desert sun. So let's pick up Immolation here to scorch bad guys almost as bad as the pavement in Arizona. Next is the Forest Circle. Not bad here with Bark Skin and Spider Climb, then Call Lightning and Plant Growth. After that we get Divination and Freedom of Movement, again, for some reason, and finally Commune with Nature and Tree Stride. Spider Climb is cool, but for me I think it belongs somewhere else on the list, so maybe Locate Animals or Plants should go there instead. And while Divination is an interesting choice, I think Freedom of Movement is redundant with our Landstride ability already. So instead let's grab Guardian of Nature and Grasping Vine. Though our 5th levels, Commune with Nature and Tree Stride, are both kind of perfect, so we'll keep those there. That brings us to the Grassland Circle, similar to the Forest Circle kinda, but not really, since we get spells like Invisibility and Pass Without Trace, Daylight, Divination, Freedom of Movement, again, Dream, and Insect Plague. I mean, That's solid, I guess. Invisibility and Pass Without Trace represent predators and prey using camouflage to hide in the grass. I like that a lot. And Dream and Insect Plague are cool additions to add flavor and utility. The only ones I think I have a problem with are your 4th level spells, so instead of Divination, why don't we take Conjure Woodland Beings as a way of representing critters found there, as well as Giant Insect, cause Big Bug is cool. Next up is Mountain Circle, where we again get Spider Climb and Spike Growth, followed by Lightning Bolt and Meld into Stone, then Stone Shape and Stone Skin, and finally Pass Wall and Wall of Stone. Only one change here, honestly, as I think you'd be remiss to have a rock-based land druid without a really cool rock spell, so give me Maximilian's Earthen Grasp instead of Spider Climb or Spike Growth, and we're good on this one, I think. Now, the Swamp Circle is tricky, and I can see why the creators may have had some trouble making it different from the Coastal Circle. But for me, swamps have this weird, almost witchy vibe to them, so I thought it would be cool to lean into that a little bit more. From the PHB, we get Darkness, Acid Arrow, Water Walk, Stinking Cloud, Freedom of Movement. What the is up with this spell? Locate Creature, Insect Plague, and Scrying, which doesn't feel very unique in my opinion. So instead I thought it would be neat to take Moonbeam instead of Darkness, like the moon shining through swampy trees. Summon Fae instead of Water Walk, since witches and hags are very Fae-like beings. Vitriolic Sphere instead of Freedom of Movement for a more direct, damaging, and defensive spell. And finally Dance Macabre instead of Insect Plague. Maybe it's just me, but something in my brain connects the undead to swamps, and this can kind of represent the druid calling forth those who have met a grisly end in the dangerous shallow waters. Though I may have just been watching Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island too many times.
And we know what to do, eh, Scoob? Run!
And finally, we get the Underdark. Honestly, a really cool circle to be included. Here, the PHB gives us Spider Climb, again, as well as Web, a not too subtle nod to Lolth down here, Gaseous Form and Stinking Cloud, Greater Invisibility and Stone Shape, and finally Cloud Kill and Insect Plague. And I think most of these can stay. I especially think Spider Climb and Web make a lot of sense, as well as Stinking Cloud and Cloud Kill, which are very useful and flavorful to the Underdark. However, Stone Shape for me can go, as it's not only a repeat but also already on the Druid list. So instead, let's take Evard's Black Tentacles, to lean into the weird spooky magic the Drow are into. And lastly, while I actually think Insect Plague does make sense here, it's again already a Druid spell and we can grab it if we want to. So instead, let's either take Negative Energy Flood, kind of harkening back to the dark magics of the Underdark, or Modify Memory for a more utility-based spell. I like them both so much I actually just couldn't decide. So, does the Circle of the Land Druid absolutely rock? The Circle of the Land Druid is honestly one of those classes that you could easily overlook. I know I did at first. But digging deeper, because it's dirt, it does have a lot of nice things to offer. The extra spells on your list are a great touch, though I do wish these were a little bit better out the box. Though with our changes, I hope you'll agree, I think we've got a good batch. Also, if I was the DM, I would absolutely allow any Land Druid to swap these out with something we both agreed were more in character for them, so keep that in mind. Your natural recovery feature is also nice, although it's ripped straight off the wizard sheet. Though if you are gonna cheat off somebody's homework, the wizard is the right person to choose. I think if I did have a complaint about the Land Druid, it would be that I'm not in love with your 6th and 14th level abilities. Not only do they seem pretty circumstantial, they get lapped hard by other abilities from other druids. And while I know this druid specifically is way more focused on spells, I would have liked an ability that played more into that aspect instead of walking better through leaves or being able to dodge puppy bites much easier. Though I do think this stuff really comes down to the PHB effect and power creep in the game, so I am excited to talk about how these abilities got reworked in 2024 when we get to that video. However, the Land Druid is a popular pick for a reason, and it's pretty clear why. You've got plenty to do at every stage of the game, and unlike other classes and subclasses, never have have that feeling of being completely overpowered or underpowered. You seem to have a nice continuous rise throughout. Not to mention, for those playing a druid for the first time, the easy to understand nature of this subclass is a great way to introduce preparation casters to a new player without having to bog them down with 100 animal stat blocks, unlike our Moon buddy over there. So while this may be our last official druid from the original 2014 Player's Handbook, I'm sure it's also the first in plenty of people's hearts. But if you spend most of your time scaring drunk teenagers out of the woods, once had to convince a person it's pronounced strawberry dessert before they walked into the dunes, and all you need is a nice Stetson for your werebear to start telling everybody about the importance of preventing forest fires, guess what? You might be a land druid. Hey guys, thank you all very much for watching. You know, this video had me thinking a lot about our planet and all the messed up stuff going on in the world, and as much as that Little Dicky song from the beginning is truly terrible, the message is actually pretty spot on. So while I'm certainly not smart enough to be lecturing anybody on environmentalism, we probably should be doing something to help the planet a little bit more. But if you're interested in learning more about that stuff, I've actually provided links in the description below about global initiatives that you can be a part of if you're interested. No commitment, no shame, I get it. I know everybody has busy lives and are just trying to get by. But if you're interested in learning more, those are out for you to do so. So take advantage of those if you'd like to. But if you like what I do, sticking around this long means so much to me, and a like, share, or subscription goes an incredibly long way in supporting the channel, so thank you for that. And if you want to support me just a little bit more, you can hop right on over to the Patreon and get your name up there with all these cool people for just $1, with top-tiered patrons getting games DM'd by me. So to those folks, Spider Lover, Tedzy, King Osiris, Miles Not Yard, Sorasin, Copper Dragon, Yuki, John Spees, Epic Medic, and Spellslinger, you all are the best, and I can't wait to see y'all again soon. But until next time, guys, I really do hope you take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.